What's Selling America? Special guest today is David Raymond Amos. And yes, folks, I know you can handle the truth, and the truth is that the financial collapse is coming is going to be combined with the vaccine-induced pandemic, and it's going to be getting real ugly very soon. So it's very important for you to know this information. We still have some time to wake up others, and it may be funny how it all works out. Okay, David, please continue to give those sites you were talking about, the SCRID. Go ahead.
All right, I'll just say a lot of things quickly, and where this is recorded, people can get the information from it, because I know you're going to have callers in a second.
Yeah.
To verify what I'm saying is true, if they go to my website in Scrib, just Google my name, they'll find Scrib. The keywords, I'm not a shy political animal or whatever that Google offers. If they go to the file called Cross Border, they can see what happened 5 years ago. If they wish to hear FBI wiretap tapes of the mob that involved murder, me arguing in court, various voicemails to me from Inspector Generals of the Treasury Department, Justice, the SEC. If they Google my name again, there's a site called Internet Archive. I'm much under attack if they were to Google baconfat53.blogspot.com, ask yourself why such a blog could exist if not supported by the RCMP. Anybody who reads that blog, be they any political leaning at all, should be offended. I'll let them read it for themselves. Mr. baconfat53. That said, Putnam Investments, I feel important to make people aware that Putnam Investments was bought by a huge Canadian company called Power Corp. Most folks have never heard of Power Corp, but Power Corp owned the French oil for food company that did the funny deal with Saddam Hussein. It was UBS that put the money in Iraq that was not in the bank but in boxes that the boys found in Baghdad years ago. Who was general counsel of UBS? The former general counsel of the U.S. Treasury Department when I was arguing them. His name was David Offhauser. Your attorney in New York prosecuted him last summer for being a crook. The former general counsel of the Treasury Department. Global general counsel of UBS. Now, I'm trying to zero in on the Big Apple for your benefit and mine, Dr. Carley, because right now, this week in the Big Apple, Bernie Madoff is coming up for sentencing, and there's a lot of people getting fired up on the Internet. They want to get rid of the Fed Bank, and they're having tea parties, and I wholly support their effort. It's very simple. What they're saying is true. Get rid of the Fed Bank.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of Canadians don't know is we became part of the Fed Bank in 1974. We became the 13th district of the Federal Reserve Bank. It's very simple. The Fed Bank and the World Trade Bank and the International Monetary Fund are behind this game. I took them on last week. I think you saw my emails where I did that.
Oh, yeah.
That said, if someone was picking at your pocket for 100 years and then come around and said, you owe him $100, what would you tell him? Get out of Dodge before I run you out on a rail. That's all that has to be said to the Fed Bank if enough citizens, as they are doing right now, protesting, simply have their Congress and their Parliament function as they should and get rid of the Fed Bank. Your national debt would be erased except for what's been sold for Treasury funds to China and stuff. That is, what they're saying is true. Now, as I was saying about the Fed Bank, Mr. Ferguson was co-chair of the Fed Bank.
Okay, wait, I'm so sorry, David. It's like we keep getting interrupted by the breaks, but they're necessary to support the station. Remember where you are. We'll be right back, and then we'll continue. Stay tuned, folks. This is so huge. Feeling America, where my special guest today is David Raymond Amos. Okay, David, please continue where you left off.
All right, now I'm trying to zero in on New York, but it's important to people who understand grassroots thinking what I'm trying to relate to them. First off, they're citizens of the United States of America or Canada. But let's talk about America. In America, you're the citizen of a town and then a county and then a state within a federal union. I believe Texas has to decide once a year whether it's going to stay in the union. Each state has its own constitution. Each state has its own laws and its own attorney general to enforce them. Each state sends its representative to the federal Congress or whatever in Washington. The federal guys basically only oversee foreign affairs, the Army, and collect taxes. It is your local city, town council, your county commissioner, then your state attorney general who should enforce the constitution of your state. Now, even though New York is a big player, they have the New York Stock Exchange, what the people like, say, in New Hampshire tried to do and enforce their rights underneath their constitution as pertains to these TARP bailouts and everything was absolutely correct, and their thinking was correct. They need to pursue that line of affair from where they are sitting in the state that they are sitting now. Now, as far as New York goes, there's a perfect storm brewing there around Bernie Madoff. Because whatever happened to Bernie Madoff is one thing. But what happened with the TARP bailouts and all of this money to bankers affects everybody worldwide.
Exactly.
Not just the United States.
Right.
Now, everybody looks to Washington. Everybody looks to the Senate Banking Committee. Everybody looks to what happens on the New York Stock Exchange. It does not always have to be that way. Canada could simply say bye-bye to the Federal Reserve Bank that we adopted in 1974, reassert our sovereignty. Canada files as a corporation on the New York Stock Exchange and reports to the American SEC. So much for our sovereignty.
Right.
Now, as we look at the Bernie Madoff matter, there's a lot of people that lost a lot of money with Bernie Madoff that don't realize it. For instance, Massachusetts, by way of Fairfield, Connecticut, had a lot of their health care funds invested with Bernie Madoff. Everybody in Massachusetts should listen to me. There's a lot of people that, unbeknownst to them, had their pension funds fed through to Bernie Madoff that lost their shirt. But then there's all kinds of other people who just simply have savings in whatever mutual funds you want to pick, who've been saving for their retirement, whose investments have taken a huge tumble because of the stock market slide. Who failed to do their job? Two bunches of people. The people that oversee the investment industry at a federal level and a state level. Now, in New York, the Attorney General of New York has the Martin Act. As the feds go about covering up the Bernie Madoff matter, and everybody knows the SEC are deep in the cover-up, the Attorney General of New York, such as the lady that I contacted on your behalf, Dr. Carly, who's now well aware of my concerns about her former boss, Attorney General Spitzer, she, as a proper acting Attorney General, should step up to the plate and go, wait a minute, yes, the feds have a concern with Bernie Madoff, but so do we. He's in our jurisdiction. I don't think this is properly investigated. We're going to seize control of Bernie Madoff, right, and get to the bottom of this and exercise the Martin Act. And the Attorney General in Massachusetts, or the Secretary of State in Massachusetts, that's his job, Bill Galvin, should have done the same thing a long time ago. And you can see where I've been notifying and I'm screaming at him to do so. And that same holds true in every state of your union. Every U.S. attorney in your union was well aware of my concern since the fall of 2003. But I'm the guy that would spoil the party. Everybody was making a lot of money on the stock market in 2002, 2003, 2004. Who wants to listen to a guy that's going to spoil the party? Now that everybody has lost their money, people are starting to listen to me. For instance, men in China downloaded every page of my blog in 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Who's lending the money to the United States? Some Chinamen?